Where's the Zoom gone now?
Go to the bottom.
I'm going to turn this off.
What?
Oh, there it is.
This is going to be a nightmare, this is.
You're listening to about half a dozen conversations here. You're on mute, Zoe.
I said it's because everyone needs to mute themselves, like I had.
Not speaking. Could you go on mute, please?
Struggling to find it.
Okay.
The easiest way to do it is whoever is the admin of the Zoom call, whoever set up the Zoom call, can go into the participants window and they can mute everyone. And then the people who want to speak need to unmute themselves.
You enjoy your rest?
I've just muted everybody.
You'll probably just need to keep doing it as more people join.
Okay, thank you. I'm not used to having this many participants.
Right. Is it 6:30? Yes.
7:30.
Oh, sorry, 7:30. Right. Could I welcome everybody to the meeting? Can I just say, before we actually start the meeting, I'd like to do a 1-minute silence in respect of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, please. Thank you. Thank you. Before I start the public question time, there are one or two I don't think have been before to one of our meetings. I'd just like to say that, subject to our standing orders, members of the public are entitled to speak once and ask a question or give information, which is on the agenda, according to the agenda. If they would like anything added to the agenda, it will have to go on next month's. Is that clear with everybody? Thank you. Also, I just want to say again what I said last time. We do not deal with car parking, but your concerns have gone, that were raised last month, have gone to County Council. And also we have not had any planning applications to do with the land at the detention centre, and I believe SMDC haven't had any in at the moment either. Thank you. Right. Oh, yes. And if you're going to ask a question, could you leave your camera on and obviously put your microphone? If you're not asking a question, you can turn your microphone and you can turn your camera off if you wish. So we'll start with public question time. Anybody want to ask a question? I can't see any. Oh, do you wish, Sue Barnett, will you wish to ask a question?
Unmute. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I would just like to ask the question, do the football pitches at Moorside come under the remit of the parish council?
No.
So the running of those and the pricing and the costs don't come under the parish council?
Not for the schools, no.
No, not for the schools. For the teams that used to play on there.
Yeah.
Is the
Can I
parish
just
council
bring-
responsible for anything there or not?
What, at the school?
No, at the Moorside.
You
know,
said
the-
Moorside.
Yeah.
Do you mean Malthouse?
Is that what it's called? I'm sorry, I just know it as opposite Moorside there. Where the Moorville, sorry. I said
Oh,
Moorside.
right.
Moorville. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on,
Right,
Gemma.
sorry.
No, go on, Gemma.
Yeah, I've got a statement for this as a formal response from the social media, just to paint the full picture of what I'm aware of with Malthouse Werrington Sports
Thank you.
Ground. In 2016/2017, parish councillors at the time was Howard Rylands, Nigel Meekins, showed interest in the parish council purchasing the sports ground. They put forward a business plan to the council to charge for hiring to offset the running cost of that sports ground, with the main aim of making sports and events accessible for Werrington residents locally without having to travel across the city and at affordable fees. There was a majority vote and the sports ground was purchased. The teams were first charged a hiring fee at the same rate as now, though through a change of clerk and a VAT query, there was a period of time where the teams weren't charged. The Wasps and the Windmill were the only teams using the venue, but the parish council were paying for all of the running costs. The running costs for that location, what they include is there's a groundsman's contract, which cuts the grass twice a month and marks the pitches once a month. There's an annual fire alarm inspection. There's an annual emergency lighting inspection. There's annual gas certificate. There's the gas bill. There's the electricity bill. There's the quarterly Legionella testing. And there's obviously maintaining equipment there. In 2020, the council was concerned that the parish was offsetting the whole cost of the running of the sports ground for a small number of Werrington residents to benefit. There were also concerns as the ground was not compliant, as risk assessments for some of the compliance certificates were not in place and were not being carried out at the correct times, leaving gaps. The clerk wished to reduce her hours at the time, and the parish decided to use those hours to recruit myself, the deputy clerk. The priority for me at the time of recruitment, which was September, October last year, was for Werrington Sports Ground, or Malthouse as people know it, also moving on to Knee Road as my next project after that. I started September 2020. I informed all the teams that they would be required to pay pitch hire from April 2021, but assistance would be available should it be required. So October to April, I spent my time ensuring all the risk assessments were in place, a fire plan. We had a big clean-up, general maintenance. There was things like guttering that was broken, roof tiles that were broken, shower floor needed replacing. We've got all the compliance certificates in place. We've got all the compliance signage in place. We've done the front fencing, and that was paid for from a rebate. We've now got a booking policy in place, terms and conditions agreed, pitch maintenance programme to see if that can help with the drainage. We've got quotes underway for a drainage inspection and the septic tank inspection. In January's council meeting, the agreed costings were agreed. It was under 10s would be £400 for a whole year, not a season, a year. That gave them one training session a week and one game on a Sunday. Each of the sessions is 3 hours long. The over 10s were £600 for the same. The adults were £800 for the same. So the under 10s works out at £16.66 a month. The over 10s works out at £25 a month. And the adults works out at £33.33 a month. However, existing teams were offered a 50% reduction for this year. and a 20% reduction for the second year, with an offer of supporting them in any way they could afford to pay, whether it needed to be quarterly, monthly, annually. We were more than happy to support them through that. We also now offer one-off hires. Children can just book the pitch and the toilets for a 3-hour session at £25. If they wanted the changing rooms, it's £30. Adults can hire the pitch and the toilets for 30, changing rooms 35. Whole venue hire for a whole day is £75. For half a day, sorry, 75, and a whole day 150. The parish aim was regaining management of the sports ground was to try to offset the running costs by charging a hiring fee. Also to advertise to try to encourage other sports to operate, offering alternatives to the residents of Werrington other than just football. Also for possible events to be hosted at the sports ground, accessible to Werrington residents. Also, existing football teams were always more than welcome to stay, hence why we haven't advertised that we're available to hire at all yet, because we wanted to give the existing teams the opportunity to decide if they wanted to stay or not. It is only right that people using the sports ground contribute towards the running costs, otherwise the residents' precept is paying for the whole running costs, despite it only being used by a few residents. Please feel free to email any questions, or obviously you can ask more now. And many thanks. I can answer anything else, Sue, if you want anything else.
Thank you for that. It was really, really useful. I mean, one of the reasons I joined tonight was, you know, it's all right listening to gossip and tittle tattle. I'd rather get to the nub of what's actually right, so that, you know, we can all work together to help the youth of Werrington. Because I have to say, you know, I'm now into my grandchildren. We've still got nothing for the youth of Werrington, albeit we all keep trying, but it's still very lacking. But I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sue.
I think a formal statement, I know you've read it out, but I think a formal published statement will do a lot to allay people's annoyance and over what they think they believe because somebody's told them when they pass them in the street or whatever. I just think it's useful to put it somewhere that you can refer to it.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Nigel?
Where's the chairman?
Pardon?
That wasn't me.
No, it wasn't. I don't know who it was.
Okay.
Well, then.
Moving on, Chair, through the Assistant Clerk's statement that she's just read out, can I just clarify to members of the public and also new councillors the discrepancies in that particular statement?
Good.
The Deputy Clerk said that it was myself and Howard Ryland who were the instigators behind going forward for the... Sorry?
Sorry, I'm not.
Somebody
seems to be talking, and I don't know, because I can only get 12 photos on my iPad, so I don't know if there's somebody who hasn't put themselves on mute and it's picking up conversations. But carry on, Nigel.
Okay, it was stated in an official statement from the Parish Council that it was myself and Howard Ryland who put forward the idea for the Parish Council to purchase Malthouse. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't just myself and Howard Ryland. There was also Jeremy Fryer. If we can have a nod from existing councillors who were there, or councillors who were there.
It was, yeah.
It was Ken Griffiths as well.
Right.
So if we can have a nod from that. So if that statement can be amended. It was also put forward to all councillors. And again, Chair, when you were invited as councillors to the Malthouse, some councillors had never been to Malthouse, and that was the first occasion that they'd actually been to Malthouse. when you were invited there to view the property before the purchase. Is that right, Chair?
Some of them haven't been. That's right, yes.
So some of them, prior to that appointment, were voting on something they didn't even know about or even see. We move on, Chair, to the drainage report that the Deputy Clerk has put forward. What happened to the drainage report that was undertaken and the funds from the Section 106 money to the sum of around about £5,000? What happened to that report?
Gemma?
You want me to answer? That drainage report only actually tested, it was nothing to do with me, may I add, it was conducted by previous committee members. The report that I've got, it only actually tests if the runoff of the car park is contaminated. Doesn't actually test any of the drainage, it just tests if it's contaminated. Doesn't even test where it actually runs off to.
Gemma, I would beg to differ on that. I do have actually a copy of that drainage report, which is very in-depth drainage report.
Are we talking about the same report? Sorry, are you talking about a pitch maintenance report,
No,
a
I'm
pitch
on
drainage
about
report, or the car park?
The historic problem with that particular pitch and that particular ground.
Oh, you're talking about the pitches, yeah. There's lots of pit tests. It depends on which one you're talking about. We've got some that go back to 2016,
yes,
and then there's been 2 more since then that have been done.
2016 was carried out by a well-established company in Newcastle, who name fails me at the moment, and they put forward a plan to actually to put works in place. And the Section 106 money, of which Staffs Moorlands District Council are sitting on, hopefully, to the sum of £80,000 to £90,000, was ring-fenced by David Stocks, who was head of recreation for that particular area. Correct, Chair?
No. Zoe, would you like to come in, please?
Okay.
The Section 106 money was ring-fenced for recreational facilities in the Werrington area, but it was never specifically ring-fenced for any particular thing. That's the information I've been given from SMDC. So yes, it has to be spent on recreation and leisure in the Werrington area, but it was never specific for any one thing.
Okay, so we can move forward on this. I know that I can see ex-councillor Jean Fryer there, obviously Jocelyn's there, and I can see the chair Barbara there. I can actually see Lisa Martin there as well, who was a councillor at the time. Am I mistaken that we had David Stocks at the council meeting who ring-fenced that money for the Malthouse, and we were on a match funding? Yes or no? No?
Yes. Jocelyn?
No. This is Lisa Martin. No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was. I don't remember it being ring-fenced for that. I know it was it's always been for recreational facilities for Werrington.
Right, I understand that. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll move on.
That's my understanding too.
Yeah.
Thank you. In a minute, I'll bring you in a minute, Sue.
I'll move on that I'll get to the end
Please,
of it, and then
we've only got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, but you can actually extend standing orders, Chair. There's actually more members of the public than there's councillors for this evening.
Well,
and the last one is that the vice clerk said that she was brought in because the clerk's hours were reduced. How many hours were they reduced by?
Between the 2 of us, we make 1 full-time post.
Right, right. So Zoe's hours have been halved in theory.
Zoe's 20 and I'm 16.
Yeah.
So Zoe's, since I was a councillor, Zoe's hours have gone up then?
Yeah, they had to go up because of the amount of work, Nigel. We had my post evaluated and it should be a full-time post, but I didn't want to do full-time.
And the very, very last one is, why has the precept gone up when he said it wasn't going up? Chair?
Pardon? Say that again, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, why has
The
the
message
precept,
come up
why has
from
the
different-
precept gone up to over £100,000 when it was said it wasn't going to go up?
When was it said it wasn't going up?
On 3 meetings ago, you were trying to, okay, I'll use the terminology. I'm just sorry, I'm reading my notes at the bottom of the screen. That you were
These
trying,
are statements, not questions, but carry on.
it's a question. Why has the precept gone up? That's a question.
I know, but we never said it wouldn't go up.
No, I'm asking why has it gone up?
Yes, Zoe.
The precept for this current financial year hasn't been put up. It's the exact same as last year. The only reason there's a very slight increase of 0.04% is because the district council have reduced the tax, the bandees and how they work it out, but we haven't put it up this year.
Okay, thank you.
Sue, do you want to come back in? You're on mute.
There we go.
Yes, you're there.
I'm not alone. There's quite a few people who've asked, you know, made these statements, and it is a statement. We shouldn't be arguing over he said, she said, I said, they said. All this should be minuted and available for public scrutiny so that we can go back and we can research, because that's what it will be. There's a lot of interest in this. And I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to do some research. Well, I say me, we, anybody, you know, to actually see what, you know, what happened at these meetings. Because if somebody's saying there's match funding and somebody's saying there isn't match funding, somebody's wrong. And we need to get to the bottom of it. Else you get tarred with the brush of, you know, not assisting everybody who wants to be assisted in Werrington. And that's wrong if at the time it was the right thing to do. So I do feel that we need to look into this, and it's not for tonight. We've probably had enough of your time and looking at the clock, but I don't think it's something that's going to go away.
Thank you, Sue. Yes, I mean, they are minuted. I mean, everything we discuss is minuted and they do go out. But I think somewhere on the line, people perhaps don't understand, and I'm not being awful when I say that, some people don't understand how the parish council works. They think we can get money from here, there and everywhere, and we can't get money. You know, and we did a survey with the young people, was it about 18 months ago? They wanting to ask them what they wanted, and it came out actually the top thing that they all wanted was a zip wire and a bike track. Is that am I correct, Zoe, with that? Just shake your head. Yeah, thank you. And of course they're in the process at the moment, so we are listening. It's just that we have to get the money to do these things.
Yes, and I get
you know,
that. I really understand, Chair, where you're coming from, but having minuted myself lots of meetings over my working time, I know that if your decisions are correctly minuted, they are traceable and accountable and auditable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think that's all I'll say.
Thank you. Zoe, do you want to come back?
Sorry, I was just putting in the chat. The minutes are all publicly available. They're on our website once they've been approved. So at the moment, February's will be the last one because March's will be approved at this meeting, and then they will go onto the website. And we are annually audited. That's due coming up any time now, and they go through our minutes and things. So yeah, they are audited, they are checked. Each meeting, councillors are asked if they are accurate as from the last meeting. And yeah, so they're there on the website. You're welcome to have a look through them.
Thank you. Jocelyn?
We do have normally a paper copy in the library, but of course the library hasn't been open for several months now because of lockdown. It opens again tomorrow. So it will be possible for the paper copies of the minutes to be made available in the library, but it's not happened because we couldn't.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody out there that wants to ask a question? We've got 5 minutes.
Yes,
Ah,
please.
who's just said that?
It's me, it's Kerry Tyson.
Oh, sorry, I can't see on mine. Sorry.
Okay.
And then I've got a Dan Bowman after. Go on, Kerry.
Yes, I just got 2 quick questions, and the information earlier was really useful. The first question I have is one which my dad actually submitted via email to the council, and which we're still waiting for a response. And it was really just to have more information and clarity around how the charges were worked out for the Malthouse Fields, and also why there's such a discrepancy between the different facilities within the parish council. While some are free, some are charged at very low rates. For example, the bowling green, which I think has a very low charge. Yet the football teams, which are run by volunteers, one of my husband is one of them who, you know, dedicates many evenings and weekends to running football teams for local children. Why is there such a difference between the 2 charges, which can be seen? So that's my first question. And my second question as well is really, why were these charges introduced partway through the season? Kids have not been playing football for a long time. Our little boy is 8. You know, he enjoys playing with his friends from school. They've had months off with COVID, and now we're finally at the point where we can return to football and regain some normality. Yet what we've had to see is, you know, we've been introduced with these charges. Yes, it was nice that Gemma mentioned we were offered to pay this money over a long time, but surely when we look at other facilities which are free, and also within the Leeds Lads and Dads, we also have alternatives which are free. You know, why would we look to raise this £400 when we could have a free facility instead? You know, already, you know, we have to do lots of fundraising to facilitate the children's football, to buy kits, to fund dress. Yes, that the parents pay towards this, but to me, there seems that, you know, a real lack in clarity, I think, between the charges and also the way this was brought around. So any information either now or later on would be really, you know, informative, both for ourselves as volunteers, but equally for the other parents.
Do you want me to answer, Chair? Okay. Excuse me. Obviously, in October, it was announced that we would start charging from April. We didn't know that there'd be another lockdown at that point. And like you say, the precept, it's if we didn't stick with what we'd planned to start it in the April, then it'd mean the council were footing the bill again, as in the residents, the whole of the residents were footing the bill to run that establishment again. The prices were the same as they were the first year that you started to charge in 2017. So the prices mirrored that, but they also mirrored, I've got 4 children, 2 of which play football. I work in the leisure industry as well. So I compared what other places were hiring charges and we mirrored that. Unfortunately, we couldn't be as cheap as Birchill, but Birchill are only £200 for the year. But that might be why they're about to be sold for housing, because it's too much to run. It's too expensive to run. Me Road isn't expensive to run other than the maintenance, because we haven't got a building there that's occupied. So you don't need Legionella, you don't need fire safety, you don't need emergency lighting. We've got the risk assessments, but they don't cost anything, just my time. But so Me Road is free. It isn't free because you pay for the maintenance of it through your precept, whereas and everybody's got access to it, and most people might use Me Road, whereas the Malthouse, as in Werrington Sports Ground, it's a lot more expensive to run, and the fees that were charged, certainly at 50% reduction, even at full charge, don't come anywhere near the running cost of it. Yeah. It's merely a contribution towards.
Yeah, which is fine, but we're actually now playing in somewhere which is free.
Which is brilliant.
So it's a shame to have that great facility, which was used by a lot of children from Werrington. You know, I'm sure anybody who visited that site on a Saturday morning, it was teeming with children, you know, parents, grandparents. It was a lovely hub of the community, and I think to have lost that, you know, is a real great shame. I don't think I've still received an answer to my question on why the difference between the bowling green and football, but again, I don't want to take it
I don't know about the bowling green. Somebody else can probably answer the bowling green.
Can I answer that, Chair?
Yeah.
The bowling green is nothing to do with the parish council. The bowling green is an independent organisation. It's absolutely nothing to do with the parish council. It's a pity Tony isn't here, because Tony McNichol would be able to tell you the bowling green is nothing to do with the parish council.
Yeah, I do believe, Jocelyn, that there is a fee paid to the parish council from the bowling club.
They pay a peppercorn rent, which they've done for time immemorial.
Yeah, and that
But
was.
we have absolutely nothing to do with the charges.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they just
Can I
use the
just-
land office.
Can I just come in? On social media, it was said that we'd given them £5,000. We have not given them £5,000. Never given them £5,000. So I don't know where they've had the £5,000 from, but that's up to them.
I think there was an article in the Werrington Life as well around the bowling club.
Yeah, they were looking for new members.
Yes,
But
that's right.
it's still nothing to do with the parish council.
Yeah.
So why is the rent paid to you then?
They pay a peppercorn rent for the land.
Yeah.
It's on the side of me road. They're paying for the land, to a peppercorn rent for the land. Because it was originally part of the playing fields. But as I say, it's a totally independent organisation. It's absolutely nothing to do with us.
So no money comes to the parish council then?
You've got Tony McNichol. Well, Tony McNichol was I think he was chairman at one stage. I'm not entirely certain. But unfortunately, he's not able to be here tonight because he's ill.
Okay, maybe we could get a response to that next time or in the minutes, if that could be minuted.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to suspend standing orders just for 5 minutes while Mr. Bowman, do you wish to ask a question? You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, only quickly. My question was simply to request that we can extend questions as long as anybody's got them. I'm not sure that anybody else has, because I appreciate a lot of people have got their screens turned off, but I'd also like to just encourage anybody that does have any questions, it'd be great to get them out now, because I think, we've got like 45 people on the call, and I think there's a lot of people in Werrington that are really passionate about, to address the earlier statement, to learn about what the parish council does. It's great to get this insight, and the more people across more generations that we've got at looking at things, I think it's great for the community. So I think we should carry on doing this. We should try and keep these numbers up going forward. But yeah, anybody that's got any questions, I'd really encourage to ask away.
Yeah.
And,
Chair, do you mind if I add to Dan? We are open to anybody that wishes to volunteer to become a councillor as well. We have got places available. So if any of you are happy to volunteer and would like to, then you're more than welcome to put the application forward. And it'd be brilliant, like you said, Dan, to get more people on board.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. There's quite a few people who are passionate and are considering, doing this, because, I know it can get a bit silly on social media sometimes, but I think what is clear is there are a lot of people that are passionate. And I think if we're all working together and not arguing and bickering with each other, I think there's a lot that can be done. And I think social media can blow these things out of proportion a lot, but I think it's been great to see tonight. And I think it's good to see a good turnout. And the more people we can carry on getting to these meetings, the better for Werrington, I think.
Can I just say something? And I agree. But after May, we've only got till May the 7th, and it's going to be discussed during the agenda. We can't hold Zoom meetings after then. That is a government bylaw or whatever they've passed, but we can't do Zoom meetings after May the 7th. Nobody can in government, in like SMDC, and it's all. So we're discussing then what happens. We don't know, but I can't see us getting 45 people at ordinary meetings face to face. To be honest,
I'll make sure we do. I'll make sure we get 45 people face to face. Don't worry, we'll get the numbers. We'll keep it going.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Right, we'll go into the proper agenda now, and you're more than welcome to stay. Not a problem. Thank you. I think Ross is going to give his update from the county council, is he? Or from districts? Is he still with us?
I certainly am, yeah. Good evening, Barbara. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Marvellous. Right, I'll run through my report. Just a couple of things as I do. First of all, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. But please feel free to ask any questions as I work my way through it. I would just comment that it's great to see so many people at the meeting tonight. I do follow it on social media, and I follow the conversations, and they're very entertaining. And I would genuinely encourage people out there who are listening to this meeting now to give some serious thought to joining the parish council. It's not easy. You do put yourself head above the parapet, and you immediately, will receive criticism. But it is very rewarding, and it's a really, really valuable way to steer the direction of things that happen in your community. So I am on Facebook as well. If anybody wants to contact me through Facebook indirectly or go on the Staffordshire County Council website. My details are there as well. Get in touch, and I'm more than happy to talk you through it and the benefits and the pitfalls of being on the parish council. But I'll move on now to my main report. I'll start with COVID-19. The good news, I guess, in Werrington, Salahead and Wetley Rocks, which is the cell that our R rate is calculated, we had less than 3 cases last week, which means we are now officially a COVID suppressed area. So we've effectively got no COVID in the area. Obviously, that's not entirely true because there are less than 3 cases, but from a medical perspective, we're considered to be COVID suppressed, which is great news. However, the only caveat I'd put on that is that at the bottom of Ashbank Road, as you move into Bucknell, there is still a COVID rate of 47.1 per 100,000. So it's still on our borders. No time for complacency. We're moving into lockdown, which is great, or moving out of lockdown, which is really good, and hopefully we'll all enjoy that over the coming weeks and months. But we still need to follow the rules as carefully as possible. The mantra of hands, face, space, and now fresh air is as relevant now as it was 12 months ago, and will continue to be relevant probably for at least 12 months more. So great that we are easing and we're in a great position, but let's not be complacent. Asymptomatic testing is still ongoing, and as I understand it, tomorrow on the 13th, there's testing available in Cabbage Hall, Village Hall, and in Werrington. I'm not sure if it's in the Village Hall or if it's at the school. I think it's in the Village Hall. Might even be the library, actually. I'm not 100% sure, but if you go onto the Staffordshire County Council website, you can follow the links there for an asymptomatic test. And again, I'd encourage you to do so should you be interested in that. And there's another one at Leek Brough Park Leisure Centre in Leek on the 14th. Staffordshire as a county is still leading the country in terms of its number of vaccinations. We're ahead of the game, and the Staffordshire Moorlands is leading the county. So Staffordshire Moorlands is the most vaccinated district in the country at the minute, which is great news, and long may it continue. I wasn't in last month's meeting, unfortunately. I'm not sure if you covered this, Councillor Hughes, previously, but the update on the minor injuries unit at Leek, was that covered previously?
I think I mentioned about them reopening, hopefully, as long as the COVID numbers stay low.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I will just cover it again, just for anyone else that's in the meeting. The minor injuries unit was closed at Leek Hospital as we went into the pandemic, as most of the staff were repurposed to the Royal Stoke Hospital. In fairness to the CCG, which is the organisation that runs the health service for the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, they've always maintained that we're going to reopen this facility once lockdown had finished, and it was announced a couple of months ago that this will happen. So as of June, the minor injuries unit will reopen at Leek Hospital, as they've always intended, in line with coming out of lockdown. So I think the intention is the 21st of June, when hopefully all restrictions will be lifted. That is the current date that they're looking to reopen the MIU in Leek, which is useful for us. Just coming on to a quick environmental thing. I'm currently trailing a new environmental project with primary school, not actually in Werrington, but in my district, the division of Cabbage Hall, where I've funded purchasing of air monitoring equipment for a primary school. The idea being is that they will test the air outside their school at various times of the day, so that we can relate the low periods to what I anticipate will be the high periods around parents picking up and dropping off. The idea being twofold. First of all, to encourage an environmental message in the primary schools, but also hopefully to educate the parents the impact that their cars idling in and around schools during pick-up and drop-off is having on the local environment and their own child's air quality and well-being as a result. So assuming that's a success, I'm hoping to purchase the same amount of equipment for the rest of the primary schools and the secondary schools across my division to carry on with that scheme. I think it's a double end, and I think it'll be very useful over time, but we'll see how that rolls out, and I'll feed back to you in the coming months as that scheme comes to fruition. Highways, always a sensitive issue, shall we say. Again, a little bit of good news. I've now had it confirmed that the Mee Road footpaths are in the 2021 programme. They will be done in the next 12 months, hopefully over the summer of this year. It's been a long time coming, and I won't believe it until I see the tarmac actually going down, but I am confirmed it's in the programme of works. Highways have also announced in the 2021 programme for next year for highway resurfacing that Clough Lane, Salters Lane, Hume Lane, Malthouse Lane and Winterfield Lane are all in the programme for a full resurface. This will tie in with the traffic survey that commissioned in that area historically, as you're probably aware if you attended these meetings before, regarding picking up the impact of the traffic travelling through there. I've also now tied up with a new group that I've come across, which is an Ashbank Action Group. It's a very early stage group. You may be aware a couple of years ago now I bought some speed monitoring equipment, but it's been problematic finding volunteers to use it. But I've now found a group that are very keen to use this. They're actually based at the bottom end of Ashbank. Once we get once we get the county elections out of the way in May, I've agreed to meet up with them, hopefully bring them along to a parish council meeting as well. They're very much in the infancy, but they're very keen, and I'd like other people to join in with that group as we move forward. I know there's comments popping up, but I can't read them at the minute, so I'll come back to those afterwards, and I am happy to take questions as well. Another burning issue tied in with highways is the parking in and around the co-op and the shops and Washerwall Lane. At previous meetings, it was highlighted that in mid-June I'm meeting with the highways team to do an overview and an objective observation and monitoring of what's happening there at the minute. It's been a while now since this has been reviewed in terms of the parking restrictions, parking allocations there. There's obviously been some interest on Facebook, and I've now received an enormous amount of correspondence from parties from various recommendations where I've been lobbied to remove the parking restrictions there completely so people can park there for as long as they like. Someone's asked me to increase the penalties for parking there and reduce the period of time that you can park there. We've been asked to change the white lining, remove the white lining, install double yellow lines across the whole area. And I've been receiving a number of complaints currently about vehicles parking on all four wheels on the footpath, which is obviously illegal. So it's obviously, this indicates to me that this is an area of great interest. This will be covered, I guess I say, following on meeting in June. What I would encourage you all to do. Sorry?
I don't know who it is that keeps talking. Don't know.
Right, well, I'll carry on. We'll come back to it in a second. But I would encourage anyone that's interested in this particular issue to go onto the County Council website or download the My Staff's app and report your concerns or observations around this particular area, because that will all feed into the meeting with highways in June, where we will review it and we'll decide what is the best way to deal with it for the status quo, whether or not it is still suitable for the environment down there, or whether or not we need to review it. And the final subject I just want to cover on to very, very briefly is funding. I know this is on the agenda later on for the Parish Council, but I just wanted to let you know that I have given my approval, as has Councillor Shaw, to support the use of part of the Section 106 monies that's currently held by the District Council to help fund the BMX pump track. This has been ongoing now for a couple of years. Following on from Councillor Hughes' message earlier on about what we're going to do, the consultation with the children's groups. It does take time. It is finally coming to fruition. That's still got to go through SND approval. I don't know where that is, but it's certainly been signed off and has my full backing. I think it's a great project and very, very useful going forward. And finally, I have a small community initiative fund, and I've allocated £200 from that fund to support the Werrington Wombles, which is a relatively new endeavour, being championed by Howard Rylands and the Werrington Volunteer Community Group, which is focused on not just children, but children and adults in terms of litter picking across the area. It's something I think is a great initiative. It's been very well promoted, and I've put a little bit of money in there to help them get off the ground, and I'll be supporting them going forward. So I will open up to any questions now. Just before we come on to questions, this is potentially my last meeting as your county councillor due to the elections in May. So it's been a pleasure to represent the area over the last 4 years. Werrington Parish Council is always lively. I've been coming to Werrington Parish Council for 8 years now. It's always lively, it's always interesting. There's always an active debate over one subject or another. And I will miss it if I'm not re-elected, but if I am, then I look forward to working with you all in the future. And that ties back into, again, I really encourage anyone to engage with the Parish Council who's got an interest in that. I'm quite happy to take questions, and if either Barbara or Zoe could just pick up on that for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ross. I suggest when you come and have a look at the parking, come about 3 o'clock. You might not get parked yourself, but I would certainly come at that time just to have a look. It's manic.
Yeah, I've been there myself actually recently for that very reason. Yeah.
Jocelyn.
Yeah, well, I was going to say mid-afternoon when the schools are coming out is the time to come. But just as a matter of information, you were talking about the COVID vaccinations. I know my surgery who are in the Cheadle hub at JCB, they are vaccinating approximately 210 people an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's terrific.
Zoe?
I think Derek was before me.
Oh, sorry, Derek. You're on mute, Derek. He's still on mute. No, he's still on mute. No, mute.
Hello.
Yeah, that's fine.
At last, Ross, I thought you'd done.
How are we doing, Derek?
Just a quickie, Ross, you were mentioning various things, highways. As
Yes.
the footpaths in Oakmount and that area fell off the list, Ross, or is it still being
Where was that
considered?
again? Sorry.
Oakmount.
Which area did you see?
Oakmount. You were going to carry out a survey when I don't know. Is it David? Somebody came on.
Yeah, David Greatbatch.
Yeah.
They've surveyed all the footpaths, and the priority was deemed to be Mee Road, but others will fall into the programme going forward. So it's footpaths across the division are shockingly bad. There's the two worst areas are Mee Road in Werrington and Utopster Road and Hyde Bridge, both of which are now in the programme. So it's an ongoing issue, footpaths, and as now they're in the programme, I can focus on other areas. So. Again, I really encourage anyone to report any footpath issues through the app and through the website, because ultimately it's a squeaky wheel that gets the oil, and it's not my voice that they listen to. I'm there to represent your voice. You need to make those initial complaints and raise those issues, and then I can follow them up with a reference number going forward. So I genuinely encourage everyone to collectively to look at that and push it forward. But yeah, I will be looking at the wider area for footpaths on top of where we currently are. So it's little victory, shall we say, and there's a lot to do.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you.
Zoe?
It's not a question for Ross, sorry. It was just going back to before Ross, when Dan spoke, he did say, would we be able to extend public question time if there were any questions? But then obviously we moved on to Ross. So I think it's only fair that if there are any other members of the public that do have questions, if they let us know, and then the council can vote to extend the public question time, because like Dan said, it's a very rare case that we get so many people interested. And I know it's usually restricted to half an hour and we have got a full agenda to get through, but if there is anybody that wants to ask, about the processes because they're interested in it, then we ought to give them the opportunity, I think.
Well, I moved on because I didn't see anybody wanting to ask any questions, to be honest. There was no hands up, there was no icon up, and that's why I moved on. I mean, if there is anybody out there who hasn't asked a question or would like to ask a question, feel free. And I'll suspend standing orders. But I will thank Ross for all his work that he's done, and good luck in the upcoming elections.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Dan, did you put your...
I will second moving standing orders, Chair. It needs to be seconded.
Yeah, thank you. Dan, did you put your hand up? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, it may be that there's no questions that have not been asked already. It's just with the load of cameras off, I just thought it was fair with such a few announcements.
No problem.
It might be that there's none, but I just thought it'd be good to request it. And I've been alerted to the fact that I didn't use the correct procedure. I'm trying to learn, so if somebody could tell me the correct procedure to do that, then I know for the future, because obviously I wouldn't know that at the moment.
No, I don't know why you think you've done. You were perfectly fine with me anyway, because you just put your hand up and that's it. Except that when it's half an hour, we have to then decide whether we're going to extend public question time, and then we, as you've just heard, Jocelyn second that the standing orders be suspended. But if there isn't any questions, I can't see anybody coming up. That's the thing.
Chair, I think there's Katrina, Chair. How do you put your hand up? Katrina, have you got a question?
Have you got your hand up on you? Oh, right, yes, but you're on mute.
I can't see everyone either.
Is it that? It's not speaking. You're on mute. Yeah,
Right.
you're on.
Can you hear me now?
We can now, yes.
Right, I didn't know how to put my hand up.
I would just put your hand up. It's fine. Not everybody can find the icon.
I was before with the Malthouse one and that. Is the Malthouse place part of the parish?
Yeah.
And also, does it still hold its alcohol license?
No.
It doesn't.
Gemma, it doesn't have an alcohol license, does it?
No, but there's an event in the process. You can apply for a license. If you apply to hire it,
yes,
you can then apply to the district council for your license if that's what you are looking to do, is hold an event there.
Yeah, for a temporary events license.
And also, do they not take money from the car boots, or are they now stopped?
The Wasps were taking the money from the car boots. We didn't get any, I believe. Is that correct? Somebody nod the head, thank you. Yeah,
because that would go towards, you know, for whoever's the clubs.
It was the Wasps.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have. Therefore, that would go against their rent, wouldn't it?
At the time, the Wasps were doing the car, but they took over doing the car boot, and they kept the money
from George.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and they kept the money, and so they were getting that money as well. So, yes, we weren't getting any of that.
No, that would go to, I mean, obviously, if they're running the car boot, that would help towards their costs, keeping their costs down.
Yeah.
If they're paying rent. Are they no longer car boots up there?
Well, we can't have them because of COVID. We can't hold them.
No, once we're out of COVID, obviously we'll be allowed to, won't you?
Chair, is it okay? I've spoken with George recently because the Wasps no longer want, we obviously gave Wasps first refusal, because they no longer want to train or run the car boots from there. Then I am in liaisons with George at the moment about car boots, and I've got a question for council later on with regards, George.
Right, yes.
So hopefully they might come back soon.
Is George still in charge of the upkeep of the grounds?
No. I didn't know he was, to be honest. It must have been before my time.
Yes, it was before probably before your time. So what is the council paying for the upkeep of it being cut twice a month?
Twice a month, and the pitch marking. The current tender is with Country Grounds.
Yes.
And can I just double check the rules now? Zoe, am I allowed to say what we pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I'd be totally guessing, and I've only looked at the invoice today. Is it £300?
A month. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about £300 a month, but it's all accessible in the account. So you can look at the accounts on the website and you can see it on there. That's the current tender with Country Grounds.
Right. Thank you.
Is there any more questions?
Just to add on, sorry, I was just going to add on to the point there. I mean, often when we were there at the Wasp, it's actually the volunteers who we marked the pitches every week ready for our matches on a Sunday. So my husband, my dad, or the parents from the team would go down and do that. We'd then rake up the grass. Yes, there was a big cut, but it wasn't suitable to play football on. So we had our own mower, and we then went round and raked up all the grass cuttings as well. So just to add on as additional info, it was actually maintained as well by the Wasps, and that was the same for all the teams. You know, lots of volunteers, parents went down and volunteered to maintain the pitches and do the markings as well. So yeah, it wasn't only, you know, we didn't have any markings whilst we were there. It was all done by parents and managers.
The markings have always been done once a month.
And no,
whether they didn't last for the whole month, then and you decided to top up. If that wasn't the case, then the Wasp should have reported it through to us, and then we could have taken it up with the contract.
Yeah, it was done by volunteers across all the teams.
Somebody go on mute. Whose phone's going? Lisa, I'm mindful that you need. Are you wanting to ask a question?
I am, yeah.
Well, I'm mindful you don't live in Werrington now.
No,
is it?
it's not really a question. It's more, I don't want to question, I just want to clarify some things. And
Right.
I don't live in Werrington, but I work in Werrington, okay? So it's just some clarifications really, Barbara.
Go on then.
Yeah, well, sorry, Chair. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, as you know, Chair, I didn't vote for the Malthouse site. I was dead against it. Mainly one of the reasons was because it was the drainage. So, okay, I mean, I think, can I just say that I think the clerk, Zoe, and I think Jem has done as well. I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
You know, and I will never take that away from them. I think they're doing a brilliant job. I know that, I mean, I've got all my minutes from when I very first started. They're in the loft and I'm just about to get them all down. But I know that quite a few minutes, I mean, I don't know where they went, but I mean, I remember when Zoe took over and that, and we couldn't find, some things were missing and whatever, but you know, like I say, I didn't vote for the Malthouse site and that and whatever, and I you know, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm still glad I didn't vote for it. And at the end of the day, yes, there are costs, Gemma said, but one of those costs are the loan. That the loan is is one of the costs, and that it's got, the people of Werrington have got to pay back, and people forget this. And yes, you know, I mean, it's money that's got to be paid back. And that I don't want to ask a question. I just think people it needs to be clarified. You know, it's money that's got to be paid back, and it comes out of your council tax, and that's all I want to say. If somebody wants to come back at me, and I will come back at them, but that's what I've got to say. You know, I was one of the people that didn't vote for it, and I'm glad I didn't. I would have rather the money being spent on the Miro playing fields, and I'd had some drainage done on there, but there you are. Thank you for that, Chair.
Thank you. I thought we'd only got one who was against it, and that was the late councillor.
No, it was me. Actually, the problem was they wouldn't have it minuted, but I was dead against it, Barbara, and you know, right. I was dead against it.
Okay, right. Have we any more questions? Have we got?
There's a hand raised, but all the screen has got is a dot on it, so I don't know who it is, and if they do want a question.
Oh, it's not on mine. Not on mine. I haven't got anybody with a dot. I've got blank brown screen on one, which just says Gemma's iPad.
No, there's a black screen with just a dot on as the name, and it's got the hand raised symbol. So if they do want to ask a question, could you please turn your camera on and unmute? If you do want to ask a question, it may have been put up in error.
Yeah. Are you the person that's the dot on the screen? Because I can't, as I say, I can only have 12 photos on mine. I don't know about anybody else, but I can only get 12 on mine. No? Anybody coming through? Anybody?
They've taken the hand down now. It must have been in error.
So it looks as though there are no more questions. Am I right? Thank you. Right, thank you. I hope to see some of you at the next meeting. I hope some will join us. Right, we'll go on to the agenda now, and apologies. I think there's Tony McNichol. Anybody else? No. Okay. Have we any declarations of interest and dispensations from the agenda? No. Item 3, register of interest. Anybody got any interests? No. Okay, thank you. Minutes. Have you looked at the minutes of the last meeting of the 8th of March? Would anybody like to move them if they feel as though they're... I don't know. Yes, Derry?
To move them, Chair.
Yeah, I'll move them.
Okay, thank you. Are there anything popping up from the minutes? that anybody wants to bring up now? Action plan? Or anything on there that needs
Barbara,
yes?
sorry, you've only done A. We've also got the minutes from the Risk and Asset Management Committee.
Oh, sorry. I'm not on that one, am I? No. Right, minutes of the Risk and Asset Management Committee, 6th of April. Yes, David? Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I move those.
Oh, right, they're moved, yeah, sorry. And to consider the recommendations of the Risk Assessment Committee.
Have you got me, Chair?
Right, Derek?
Yeah, Chair, I chaired that meeting on the 6th of April.
Yeah.
Of the Risk and Asset Management Committee meeting. Just to report really back to the full council, that work is ongoing, as you'll have seen from the minutes, to bring up to date all the local risk assessments and the asset register. It's progressing well. There is one matter arising from the meeting that I would wish, as chairing that meeting, to bring forward for the council to consider. Is this the time to do that, Chair?
Yes, sure, yes.
Yep, fine. We talked at that meeting about inspections of the parish council run sites, for example, Moo Road and the allotments. It was felt and suggested that volunteers from the council be asked to volunteer to carry out the inspections weekly and report back at the next available main council meeting, unless there was something really untoward, and then obviously action would need to be taken. Check sheets have been devised by Gemma and approved by the Risk and Asset Management Committee to assist when making these inspections, Chair. And I would appreciate comments from the council members. Hopefully we can move this forward if we have volunteers to carry out these inspections. That's about it, Chair.
Okay.
With reference to that working party. But as I say, I think we felt that we needed to have these, with the aid of the check sheets and that, to look within ourselves to be able to carry out these inspections and report back where necessary. So I'll throw that open through you, Chair.
Okay, Sheila? You're on mute. You're still on mute. Sheila? Have we lost Sheila?
Shall I go while she comes off mute, Chair? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. She's there.
One of the things we were concerned about was the stuff that's in the shed doesn't actually belong to the parish council and wouldn't be covered by any insurance. I mean, really, we shouldn't be storing stuff in there that isn't ours.
That's right. Gemma?
Just adding on from Derek, the things that we wanted to include in these checklists was, I obviously already check Me Road once a week, but if a councillor could check Me Road once a week, then that's 2 days we've got a present, along with the allotments, just a walk round check, including the notice board and the flagpole, and also the garden of remembrance. The same with if we were to have a list of all the trees that belong to us, if they were checked once a month, say, and the same with the street lights, if they were checked once a month. And then we've got, is it one extra piece of land or two? Coates Hill, is it? if that was checked once a month as well. And it's more so as documented evidence, like I've got for me road, that I've checked it each week, I've marked it off, and then we file it, and it just proves that we're checking it every week. And if it's another set of eyes as well as mine checking it that might pick up on something else, or I check on a Sunday, the councillor might check Thursday, and we might have had a massive litter problem or a swing breakage or a height restriction barrier broken in that time. That's the main purpose of these checks. If the councillors would be happy to divide the areas between themselves, that'd be brilliant.
We did used to have a playing fields councillor, didn't we? It used to be Nigel, didn't it? We used to go down and check. Perhaps we could do with having one again. We'd probably do that in May at the AGM. Jocelyn?
I was going to say, all I wanted to say, Chair, was the stuff that's in the Landsman's hut on Mee Road belongs to the voluntary group, and we are aware that we've got to move it.
Right, thank you. Any more questions? Well, I think, Derek, what we'll do at the to see if one of the councillors will step forward to be, you know, in going to look at the playing fields. Because as I say, we did used to have a representative go down and check the playing fields regularly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When we move this forward, I'd be quite happy to do the allotments and the flagpole and the notice board. I mean, I only live 5 or 10 paces away from it, don't I? So I'd be quite happy to do that when we start these. No problem at all.
Okay. Thank you. Zoe?
I was just going to say, it's not just Mee Road. We need to divide it up, and those councillors who are able to, they can put their name down to cover a certain patch of it, and check what's in there. I think Lynn wants to say something.
Yeah.
Lynn? Lynn, you're on mute. I'm going to get a recording. Lynn, you're on mute. I don't know why I'm shouting, because it doesn't make a difference.
Is that it? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. There's a little plot, I think, the one you were mentioning, Coat Hill. I'd be happy to check that once a week if that would be useful to anyone.
That's the one. That's the one at the top of. Well, it's now Coat Hill. Sorry, no.
You go down Washable and go up the footpath, and it's sort of there. And then
the other one behind Stonehouse Crescent.
Is that the one?
Yes. And then there's another one at the top of Coat Hill Whitmore Drive. There's another one that comes at the top of Hillside. That's another plot.
That's the guy.
I'd be quite happy to do those too if somebody would tell me what to look for.
Okay then. Right, thank you, Lynn. Sheila?
I'd be quite happy to go down and look at Mee Road. I mean, I was the councillor there many years ago when Tom O'Brien was there. So I'd be quite happy to work with Gemma so that we're not looking at the same time.
Right, so that's 2 we've got perspective for Mee Road.
We need trees and lights.
Oh, next. trees and lights. Well, we haven't got many lampposts that come under the parish council. Yes, Zoe.
I think we've got 4.
4.
And I think what it would be is inspecting, if I show you where they are, inspecting those areas, because it's not just specific things. You know, if there's something in the footpath, or you know, it might not be for us to deal with as a parish council, but if I know about it, I can still report it to the proper people. So it's really just lots of eyes. One walking around, you know, when David walks the dogs, he might notice the bus stop's been damaged, or it's things like that. If we've got people like Lynn and Sheila and Derek and David who've said yes, you know, we're happy to do this, then at least we can just get it jotted down and we've got evidence that we are keeping everything in check.
And I'll meet on the first occasion, I'll do the checklists and then council can agree it. And I'm happy to meet the councillor that's doing that area. And then we'll walk through it together on the first occasion and then take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay then. Right. Is that all from the risk assessment committee meeting?
It's all I've got, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So now we're on agenda item 5, the action plan. Right, ongoing. Oh, this says on hold till spring, unused area of allotments, but we've got allotments coming up later, haven't we? So we can speak about that. Well, we've also got funding secure Me Road, that's on hold. Anything that should be that's jumping out on us that should be anything anybody wants to bring up on the action plan? No,
I think most of it's covered in
agenda
items. Obviously we can cross out that my appraisal's taken place, and I think the rest we are.
Can I just say about the flowers, the sowing of the wildflowers? Can I buy a packet of wildflower seeds and just throw them where we said we would? Because to me, they should grow. You just throw them the wildflower seeds. You don't have to dig them in or anything. And I mean, it's nearly 2 years since Jean passed away, and I think it's just a bit.
They have a packet of
just
seeds.
A packet of wildflower seeds. That's all we do.
I've got a packet of wildflower seeds. Give them free with Gardener's World.
Well, I'll just fling them on the corner.
The problem was, Chair, we went into COVID, which totally stuffed everything. Because the weather is so cold at the moment, nothing is going to grow. We need to wait till it's a little bit warmer. Once it's warmer, then we can do it.
We'll do it. Right, thank you. And I think that's
Barbara.
Yes, Zoe.
Do you know the area that we're talking about where we're supposed to be sowing them?
It was round by the allotments, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know which bit was ours, because we've got in the budget for planting, and I need to get some for the pot underneath the notice board when we get that filled. So I'm happy to sort out getting the wildflowers at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Zoe. Right. Next agenda item, accounts. The March accounts, which were circulated via email. Any questions? Yes, Jocelyn?
A couple of things, if I may, Chair. I just wanted to make people aware of just how much the allotments are costing us in water. And the other one was the chairman's allowance. Now, I'm assuming the refreshments were for the volunteers.
They were, yes. Yeah, they were.
What was the miscellaneous? You've got a heading of miscellaneous with £150 in, which I don't think we've spent. What was it?
No, it was just in the budget in case something came up we weren't prepared for, but we haven't spent any of it.
Spent it. And the other thing we haven't spent, of course, is the VE Day celebrations. So I'm assuming that's going back in the budget.
Yeah, you asked for that to be added to one of the other budgets for this financial year. I haven't got.
And I can't remember what. I was hoping you'd remember, because I can't remember either. And the other thing is the SMDC Landsman contribution. Why are we minus £100? Is that because we've not had it from SMDC?
That is correct. Yeah, we've not received it.
The very last one was inspections and safety checks. I'm assuming that is Malthouse.
It should be under it. It should be under the title of which cost centre. So
it is Malthouse. Yes, yeah. My mistake. That's me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
I've looked at them.
B, year-end accounts circulated by email. Any questions? No?
I think that's what Jocelyn's just asked questions
I've
on.
just asked.
Oh, it wasn't on the March ones then. Right, see, next month's payment schedule.
Now, I haven't been able to send this out yet because it's a new financial year and I've not had time to set it all up in order to do that. However, I'm not expecting any payments that aren't already contracted or utilities. So I'll ensure that anything that doesn't fall under my delegated authority to pay will wait until the next meeting.
Okay. Right, thank you. Agenda item 7, staff reports, clerk's report.
Try and write the minutes and I can't keep up here. Right, I don't really have anything exact to report to you. As you know, I'm extremely busy with the year-end accounts and the audit at the moment. The good news that I've got for later on in the agenda is going to create even more work, but it's a positive, so I don't mind that. And really just to thank Gemma and her family for stepping in over Easter and helping with litter picking and everything, way above and beyond duty. And just to remind people, myself and Gemma are just part-time. We receive messages late evenings, first thing in the morning, weekends, bank holidays. We do try and respond to anything that is urgent or dangerous or things like that. But I must admit that this past couple of weeks, it has really got to me, some of the comments and everything. We work as hard as we can. We go above and beyond. We do far more hours than we're paid for. We don't get overtime. And I just want to say, like, thank you to Gemma for stepping in and helping out, even though it was Easter Sunday. And yeah, it's just, I think I've been doing this job 3.5 years now, but these last couple of weeks it has really got to me. So no, that's it. I don't think I've got anything else to report.
Okay, thank you. Gemma, Deputy's Clerk report.
Okay, so I've got 2 reports that I've circled around the councillors. The first one is a shorter report, so I'll start with that one first. One's the sports ground and one's Me Road. The one for the sports ground, some require financial decision making, so I know we'll have to return to that in the confidential, but I can at least brush over everything so the members of the public can hear everything that we're trying to work towards. So Werrington Sports Ground then. First of all, I won't cover what we've done since, well, I will actually. Physical works carried out since October. We did a full ground clear out, we hired a skip and we had a full clear up. We had a deep clean of the clubhouse. All the compliance certificates are in place. So gas, electricity, fire alarm, emergency lighting, fire extinguishers, Legionella. We've had a new fence at the front and the gates. I did see some comments. You are right. People were getting into the sports ground from underneath the gates. That's now been rectified now by my handiwork. I can't take credit. It was my husband. We've now put something on the bottom. I sent the councillors the pictures. Are you happy with that? Yes. Or do you think we should go with the contractors? Because the bill was £200, but I think what we've done is suffice and it's still safe. So you're happy to keep what we've done?
Definitely.
That's brilliant. With the help of the windmill, the football teams, we've changed all the internal locks, which they donated. They fitted an outside tap for us for boot cleaning. We've also moved the boot brushes around the side where they did that. We've retiled the shower floor. I say we again, my husband again. Moles. One thing I did want to address council about is we have an ongoing issue with moles there, and it is £90 every time? I mean, we always keep it local business, don't we? But is it something that, should it come up again, is it something that you'd rather we purchase the traps and we do it ourselves? So we'll wait and see if it happens again, and then discuss it then before we have another mole.
Yeah.
Shockwave or verti drain has just been carried out as part of the pitch maintenance plan that we agreed last month, and I must say the pitches look like they've really benefited from it already. The signage is in place. I'm not sure, Zoe, have we heard any more about Dale Crete? Or have they not come back?
No, I've not had anything from them.
Okay,
Can I
we
just
have
say, Gemma, for the members of the public, that a driver from Dale Creek complained, didn't he, about the sign going up about Malthouse, but obviously they've got this exactly the same size sign at the other side. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason, for the members of the public, the only reason why we've had the signs on the roadside is because it is a national speed limit road, and when the away teams are coming, it's a concealed entrance, and you slam your anchors on so you don't miss it, and if somebody tail ends you, then it'll be a nasty accident. So that's why we wanted the signs on the road, so that people can see where it is. We've got the compliance signs, like the fire assembly things, they're up. We also put CCTV signs up in the hope that it'll stop trespassing. We haven't had any, they were good kids, to be fair, and they understood, and we haven't had any trespassing since, and perhaps it's something further down the line we can look at to, if we've got any volunteers to supervise it, that we do have a session where the local children can come and just kick the ball around one night a week, if there's volunteers willing to supervise the session, so that there's no drinking and no smoking and everything else. So that's the signage. The sign's been corrected that was spelt wrong, trespassing. They've come and changed it. The defib, the Wasps kindly donated the defib, only it hasn't got a battery. We don't know what happened to it. Obviously, there's been the lockdowns and we don't know where it is. I've got quotes for that battery, which we can discuss in the confidential part. It's 165, 198 with VAT. So we can discuss that further on. We've got the large hand sanitizers in place. We've just recently as well had the Legionella check for this quarter. And we removed all the TMVs, which were on all the sinks throughout the whole building, but we kept them in the 2 public toilets. The reason why we removed them is because they have to be serviced every 6 months. Well, there's a cost to service them, but by law, you don't have to have them in where vulnerable people aren't using them, providing you've got the signage saying caution hot water. So to save money, we removed them all, other than the 2 public toilets that the children will be using or vulnerable will be using, but they've just failed the Make Safe test. So we do need to replace those 2 TMVs, but I can discuss that in the confidential because I've got the quotes there. Limited access, we'll talk about that in the confidential as well. Works required. Like I said, I've spoke to George and he's very interested in starting the car boots on a Saturday again, but he again would like some assistance in the first few months while they generate and get the word of mouth around, so that he gets enough income to justify paying for the booking. I've got quotes for the drainage inspection of the site as well, and the septic tank. We can talk about that in confidential. And Howard Rylands has given us the key to the fireproof cabinet. He has found a key, so we can start using that again now. The large goals do need repair. I've got the quote for that. I can discuss that in confidential again. And then I have done a 5-year proposed plan for the sports ground. I don't know if you wanted to discuss that further now, or do you think that's not a private meeting, an individual meeting just for the 5-year plans, because it's quite in depth, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll have a meeting for that.
A separate meeting just for the 5-year plans, where we're going with the sports ground, where we want to develop it and everything else. Yeah. So a separate meeting with regards 5-year plan. So that's the sports ground where we're at with that.
Yeah.
Me Road then. My report for Me Road is I've got the quotes for the drainage inspections of Me Road. We can go through that in the confidential. Because obviously I'm sure everyone will agree that there's a massive drainage problem there and it's deteriorating the quality of the paths there as well. So that's the drainage. Gareth from Country Grounds is in the process of doing lots of different quotes. And they are for the two benches at Me Road where massive puddles have formed. So when it rains, they just fill with water, so nobody could sit there. So Gareth's doing us a quote to fill those in. The same as in the middle of the play area. If you walk through, there's then another little entrance to get from the toddler bit to the bigger children's bit. That's created a dip, and that's a big muddy puddle as well. So Gareth's doing us a quote to fill that in. A member of the public did report to me, I can't remember when it was, I think it was the start of the year, about the path. The grass is now encroaching onto the paths. Gareth's addressing that now, and we should see the grass being cut back to the borders of the proper yellow paths. This is another area of concern. The ball court, if you notice, has got drainage all the way around the outside. Have we got any access to plans for when this was put in, when it was built? Have we got anything on it to where those drains may go, or?
Anything? Very good
Pass on that.
question.
I don't know.
It's been
how
there
long
for a
ago?
while, hasn't it, Chair?
It has, definitely. Yeah,
I think
definitely.
as you can
Pa's
see,
Day.
as you can see from the photographs, the grass verge is growing over the acro drainage. So the acro drainage isn't working anymore. But the acro drainage has then got a soak away. So it's got all hardcore with a soak away, but then there does look to be drains as though it does run somewhere. So when Gareth came to Luke to do some quotes, he said the problem is with quoting that is because that acro drainage has probably never been pulled up. He could do a quote, but it could break. So it could not just be going back down, it could be resourcing it and putting it down again. So I think that's something that we perhaps need to look at. But you can see from the photograph, it's blocked. So there's an area down the bottom, the water just runs across and it's damaging the surface of the ball court as well. So it's something that we need to address. Bins is the next one. With lack of bins on Me Road, they're also no longer fit for purpose. I've got lots of quotes from the Staffordshire Moorlands because they do fit them and supply them. We can talk about that can put it to the meeting and get it carried, and then it gives me something. And Zoe, we've got our main aim for each year then to improve the area for the residents. But that's it, Chair, for my report. Thank you.
Can I just make it clear to those residents who are with us that we have never ever stopped any of the young ones training on Me Road. I understand that they were told by an ex-councillor who was chair at the time, but he didn't come to us. He'd done it on his own back, so it wasn't down to us. It was his own decision, but it never came to parish council. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 8, the Lensman shed.
I think that's me again, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
So the Lensman shed, we need to come to a decision, but I suppose that's in confidential again, of what we're going to do, whether we're going to demolish it and replace it with a container. And as part of the 5-year plan, we've got storage for the equipment there, but maybe a snack hut or something like that for the park. Or do we try and make good of what we've got and pay for repairs?
Zoe?
It doesn't have to be discussed in confidential. That's only if we're considering financial quotes. You can hold a discussion about what you think should happen to the shed and possible solutions to it. It's only when you are comparing quotes from contractors that it has to be in confidential.
Yes, Jocelyn.
That shed has been past its sell-by date for as many years as I can remember. The only thing that's important, I think we need to replace it, but we must maintain the water supply. Simply because if people stage events, and as you know, under normal circumstances, we'd be staging a play day every year. We need a water access. And if anybody else wants to stage an event on the playing field, they will need a water access. But I do think that hut, I mean, it's a shambles. Having been in, and it stinks. Because of course that's where he was cooking all the bins.
Yeah.
Did the litter pick, that's where they went. And it stinks, doesn't it, Gemma?
Yeah. We could take it down. I'll get the quotes to have it demolished, and we could take it down and you could secure a tap off so that when you needed it, we've got it lockable and you can use the tap. And then maybe over the next year, we see if we've missed a Lensman's hut. And if the parish has needed it.
I mean, that's where he goes for shelter, isn't it? And that's where he's been going for his drink, for his butties. So I don't really want to lose a structure, but that has got to go. I mean, it's well past its sell-by date.
I mean, there was another shed on there before that one came that took its place when Tom was the handyman. Now I'm going back even before I was on the parish council.
Going back 25, 30 years.
And the rest, yes. So there's always been a shed on there of some description. Yeah. But say, I mean, he obviously comes by car or van, so he could sit in his van and have his.
Yeah, no, I still think we ought to provide something.
Oh yes, yeah, but perhaps just
but not that shed, but we definitely need to provide something.
Yeah. Zoe?
I will just say that we don't legally have to provide anything because we don't employ him. He's a self-employed contractor. We don't provide anywhere for the groundsman when he cuts the grass. So we don't legally have to. The other point is someone wants a bit more clarity about the training on Me Road. I can't find anywhere why young people can't play and train on Me Road. I've spoken to our insurance company, and all they've said is that obviously we need to carry out our usual risk assessments, which we'll do, and if it's an organised group, then they need to inform us and demonstrate that they have public liability insurance. There'll be no charge for playing on there. It's just that, you know, and if it's kids having a kickabout, doing a bit of training or anything, it's only if it's a properly organised teen club or whatever, our insurance has said we need to check that they have their own insurance.
Yeah.
Does that clarify what was being asked? I'm sorry, I've just picked it up off the chat. Somebody wanted it clarifying.
Yeah, it does. The message come. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. David, you didn't put your hand up to speak, did you? You're on mute.
I'm trying to unmute. Yeah, Zoe's just answered the question.
Oh, okay, thank you. Right then, well, I suppose we'll discuss about the shed, whether, but if Zoe's, Zoe said we don't have to provide him with anything. And he brings his tools, so he must have a van. He uses his own tools, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We don't provide his tools, so he must have a van. So we'll discuss.
A small storage shed with the tap, like Gemma suggested. All it is when he empties the bags from the park, when they get full in the bins, he has to store them somewhere that's lockable, because as we know, otherwise the kids playing, they're likely to rip the bags open. So
but if we're having the large bin, that the district council will empty fortnightly, then that takes that away.
Yeah.
Because the bin bags will go straight into the large.
Do they charge us for emptying the large bin?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. Right then. Well, we'll go on to the agenda item 9, unless anybody else has got any things to say on the Lensman shed. No?
There's a few, sorry, Chair, there's a few questions in the chat I've noticed. Who's the Lensman? The Lensman, Zoe will be able to correct me, was self-employed to litter pick. And how many hours a week was it, Zoe?
20.
20, but he's been off work since December.
Yeah.
And then the groundsman is that's a separate contract that goes out to tender every few years, and that's Gareth. When I said I've asked for the quotes from the groundsman, he's currently got the tender for cutting all the grass around the parish.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the questions in the chat.
Right, thank you. I must admit the Lensman just doesn't do the litter picking. He does do other jobs around.
Yes, he does.
The village as well. Stop it.
We have an unscheduled visitor.
He does it every time. Agenda item 9, policies and procedures, to adopt the revised model code of conduct, and it's been circulated by email. Any questions on that?
No. Can I formally move it, Chair?
Are we all in agreement? Okay, thank you. So we've adopted that. Agenda item 10, schedule meetings. Now this is to consider changing the date or cancelling the following meetings given changes to legislation permitting virtual meetings. A, the 10th of May 2021 is the full council meeting, an annual meeting of the council, it's the AGM. And then the B is the 14th of June, and that's a full council meeting. And then C is the annual parish meeting. So if we brought the 10th of May a week earlier, we can do a Zoom meeting. Am I right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the Monday though, because that's a bank holiday.
Yes, yeah, we'd have to change the evening. What does everybody think to changing it, bringing it forward a week? Yes, Jocelyn?
I think because the government will not extend the legislation for us to have Zoom meetings after the end of this month, I don't think we have a lot of choice, because I don't think the village hall is going to be open.
No, there's only playgroup going in, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think bringing it forward, and is that Monday a bank holiday, Zoe?
Yes.
Right, would have to be the Tuesday then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I thought they were changing the bank holiday. Am I wrong in that? I thought they were changing it for the Queen's 95th, oh, never mind, take the notice.
Tuesday the
According
4th.
to my diary, yes, the 31st is the bank holiday.
Yeah.
No,
But
we've
you-
I've got the 3rd. The 3rd
Yeah.
of May's
Which
bank
is the
holiday.
May
That's
Day.
May Day. So
Yeah,
the
and I
new
thought they were
meeting.
I'm looking at
changing.
the, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong month.
Don't worry.
Take
take
notice of me, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So if we perhaps, I mean, we'd have to advertise that we've changed the date because we always meet on a Monday.
Yeah,
But given
yeah.
the circumstances and given that the government at Point Mac refused to extend the legislation, which is a nightmare. I mean, we're not the only council that's got this problem. Should I
No,
just
no.
think what you're going to do at the district?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's 56 councillors there. You certainly can't
And
put
at county as well. I
53.
can't imagine what they're going to do at county.
I mean, it's like if we did hold a proper meeting in the village hall, you've got to be 2 metres apart. So we'll be using loud hailers to speak.
It would have to be the big hall. It would have to be the big hall.
And we couldn't have the members of the public. We could have some, but not as many because we couldn't space them out. So,
are we
yes,
going for the Tuesday the 4th then?
Go for Tuesday the 4th.
So, yeah, Tuesday the
And that's
4th.
the AGM.
AGM.
And then I would strongly suggest that we postpone the June meeting until we know where we are, because by then things will have calmed down and it may be the village hall. Yeah, so if we postpone that one and then go for the July meeting. And as far as the annual parish meeting is concerned, perhaps look at that sometime round about September, because we did say, did we not, that at that point we would want to honour all the volunteers who've done such a sterling job throughout all of this pandemic. By September, in theory, they can, you know, we'll be able to do that, providing
Hopefully.
everything goes according to plan.
Yeah.
Which according to Boris, it very definitely is.
Yes.
That's what I'm suggesting, Chair.
Anybody disagree with that? Are we all in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with that, Zoe.
So that's moving it, the 2 meetings to the 4th of June, postponing the June meeting and considering the annual meeting in September.
And we can alter the annual meeting. We don't have to have it, do we, before the AGM?
No, I mean, we've always done it at the same time as the AGM, but then Zoe said to us we weren't supposed to, so.
Yeah, it's a
like
completely different thing. It should be held between the 1st of March and the 1st of June, but because of the current climate and we're not allowed to all gather, they have been giving us some leniency on that.
Right, that's okay then.
We've got to have one, haven't we, Zoe?
Yeah, we do. We do have to have one.
If we look at September, well, I'm thinking of September simply because by then, in theory, everything will have calmed down and we can get the people in the hall and we can do the presentation that we always said we were going to do.
True, yeah.
Yeah, so it is supposed to be held between those dates, March and June. But like last year, we didn't have to hold one at all. And this year we are being given some leniency because the government don't want people to meet in large groups.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Agenda item 11, climate change agenda. To consider any changes that the council could make under the climate change agenda, including A, provide water butts to allotment holders to reduce the amount of mains water consumed. Jocelyn.
This is on the agenda because of me, Chair, because it is something that all local authorities are being asked to look at. And I'm very conscious that the District Council have a climate change committee, which might be useful to get copies of their minutes. But I do know that Zoe said my brain stopped functioning.
You want me to carry on, Jocelyn?
Well, I was going to say, when you went and looked at the allotments, they've all got standpipes, they've all got hoses. And as it showed up on the accounts, it's costing us a fortune in water. And water is one of the resources that we've been constantly asked to conserve. You know, don't have the tap running when you're cleaning your teeth and all that sort of thing, and reuse rainwater. So the suggestion was that we gave all the allotment people a water butt. We'd buy the water butt, we'd fill it up, and then we'd have to leave a standpipe there because just in case, because I'm very conscious that that's 6 weeks when it didn't rain. Marks and Spencer's were advertising, oh, they recycled the water and oh, they were environmentally friendly, and then it didn't rain for 6 weeks and that stuffed the toilets because they got no water and they were having to pay plumbers to come in and try and give them a water supply so you could use the toilets. So we don't want to lose the water supply completely, but I do think as part of climate change, we need to look at the amount of water we're using.
Any remarks? Yes, David?
Not me.
Oh, sorry, you lit up. That's. I think it's a good idea.
I think, Chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Derek.
I think we should pursue the water butt situation. I think it's too, at the moment, I think the access to the water is too easy and it's probably been abused. Well, I mean, I don't know. That's a suggestion that it may be being abused because it is easy. I understand from the last meeting that all the allotment holders have got their own tap. It's making it too easy for them. So perhaps a water butt and some restriction would help both from the environment and also from the cost.
Well, I don't know how they've got their own taps, to be honest, because we've never, as far as I know, and I was going to speak to Tony, but he's so poorly, I haven't. That's the reason I haven't spoken to him. But I will see, you know, and ask him why, because I'm sure we didn't say they could all have a tap. I'm certain of that.
Perhaps, Chair, perhaps, Chair, perhaps we should, I mean, I've already volunteered that when we bring in the assessments that I'm quite happy. I mean, it's on my doorstep. I'm quite happy to carry out the inspections. Perhaps we should do a spot check and look at that and see the feasibility. But I think it's a good idea. I think we should, you know, get water butts in. And I think we would financially, I think we'd be on the plus side rather than the negative that we are at the moment.
Because the rent doesn't
it has to be said, it has to be said, Chair, the rents that we charge for the allotments are nothing like what they're paying in Stoke-on-Trent, or at least my understanding is they are nothing like what they're paying in Stoke-on-Trent, because they are quite reasonable. And I don't see that we should be expecting the allotment holders to provide their own water butts, because if we buy them in bulk, we can get them cheaper. And I do think that we ought to give them this, you know, we can't just take the water off them and say, stuff, there's your water butt, get on with it. We should provide them and fill them, and then they're on their own.
I think a spot check, let's look at it, let's evaluate it and let's get it done if we need to.
Lynn, you're on mute. Don't think
is that better?
That's it. That's
Sorry
fine.
that.
Yes.
If it is,
Okay.
Jocelyn says we're probably cheaper than anywhere else for allotments. Why, if we're going to be providing water butts free of charge, why cannot the cost of renting the allotments be put up to actually go towards the cost of providing the butts?
Because they will queue up to get through the door to complain about us putting their rent up. Because the last time we did, they literally could not get another person in that room because the allotment holders queued up to get through the door.
Can I just bring Zoe in and she'll explain. Zoe?
It was agreed before my time that the allotments would increase by £2 a year, which I have been doing. They just about cover the cost of us leasing the land, no maintenance cost and no water cost. But when you say about them queuing through the door, we've only got 12 plots and I've got 6 people on the waiting list. So my point is, they're getting a very good deal with what they're paying for the allotments compared to other areas. And we've got people wanting those plots. So if we give them notice that next year, the cost will be going up to X, which will cover the cost of the water butts, then if they aren't happy with that, then they've got that year to give over their allotment. They don't need to take it on the next year. And we've got people on the waiting list wanting them. So I don't think we should worry about queuing through the door to complain. They're getting a good deal anyway. So, you know, so at the moment, it's another one where all the residents are subsidising it and it's not right.
I agree. That was the point I was trying to make, that everything's got a cost, and in these times you can't expect someone else to carry the burden for you if it's a particular thing you want. Thank you.
So as long as we give them notice, because they've just renewed at the 1st of April, so as long as we give them notice that that's what's changing, water butts will be installed, and therefore the cost from next year will go up to however much it is when we get the costings for the water butts. Then we've given them adequate notice. I don't see what the problem is.
Very true. Quite agree. Okay. Yes, Derek.
Oh, sorry, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
I was adjusting my volume. Sorry, Chair.
Okay. Right. Thank you. We'll go on to the next item.
Was that agreed then? Sorry, Barbara. Was it agreed that we are going to have
I move that.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Now this is the one that Zoe wants to have the bells and whistles, is it, Zoe? The pump track
is this
on
me?
Lee Road. It
Hang
is,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, just give me a second. Thank you. Yes. I'm very excited to be able to say that, as Ross mentioned earlier, the Section 106 money has been confirmed, £30,000 of that. And as some of you may know, I know Polly helped me with it, I put in an application to British Cycling for the match funding for the pump track at Mee Road, and it's been approved. So we've got the funding, which is absolutely fantastic. And I was told about it a couple of weeks ago in an email and told I wasn't allowed to say anything until my offer letter came through. So it's been killing me. We're not allowed to put out any publicity about it at the moment. We can't put it to press or publicity until the documents have been signed off by the council agreeing to their terms and returned to them. And then they say what I have to include in any proper publicity, like the logos and things. So I will do that. But yes, so I need to ask the councillors. I sent round earlier. I'm sorry, it's a very long, lengthy document, and I have read through it all. But I did send you the grant offer letter through because I need it formally minuting that you are happy for me to. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. You're happy for me to sign off the paperwork. I'll need to get Barbara as the chair to sign it as well. But yeah, so that's fantastic. We've got until the 30th of June to start work. So it's going to be a bit of a mad rush and a lot of work from now until then. I've got to get 2 contractors to re-quote because their quotes were over 12 months ago now. So I'm going to get on to them as soon as I've had the paperwork signed. And as we said, we want to set up a steering group of some parents, some young people who have been interested in this from the start, so that they can work with the contractor who is successful, and that way they can choose the designs that they want within limitations. So we've got a set budget now, and yeah, as soon as all the paperwork's sent off, we're good to go. So those of you, Polly, Sue, the other ones I've been talking to previously, and anybody else who's interested in being a part of the steering group for the pump track, please let me know. And yeah, I'm just so relieved all the hard work paid off.
Oh, thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Polly. And who else did you say? Sue, did you say?
Sue helped, yeah.
Right, thank you. Jocelyn.
I did actually. I'm quite good at speed reading, so I did have a quick look at it because it came out very late. But I would formally move that we accept the paperwork so we can move this forward.
That's right, yes. All in agreement? Yes.
Just going to say, Chair,
yeah,
I looked at it for 40 minutes and then realised, as I was not a solicitor, there was at least 3/4 of it that I couldn't understand. But I'm sure everything is in place and it's fine.
It's a bog standard contract by the looks of it.
Yeah, Jocelyn, yeah.
It was what I did in the previous life. Yeah, so I managed programs and issued lots of these things. So yeah, I've read through it, and as Jocelyn says, it is a pretty standard grant offer contract. There's a few things in that we need to make sure we cover, but I'll make sure that's done.
Yeah, super news, Zoe. Super news, and
yeah,
congratulations to everyone. I know you put a lot of work into it, Zoe. So well done, everybody involved. It's a big plus, isn't it? That well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Agenda item 13, correspondence. To note any correspondence received. Zoe?
I don't think there's anything coming that I need to report to you that hasn't previously just been forwarded on as an email. I can't think of anything. I've not made a note of anything that I need to report, so no.
Okay, thank you. Any councillor updates? Well, no, not really, because there hasn't been any meetings at district council as such. You've had the news about leak mine rangers unit, and then the hubs are coming in as well there. So, but nothing of dire consequences. Yes, Jocelyn.
I ask that we ask for copies of the minutes of the climate change working group be made accessible to us.
Are they not on? Are they not on? I'll have a look. Yes, I'll do that. Yeah. Change working group. Yeah, I'll ask for them. Okay. So there's no other updates, no. And so I'm going to, unfortunately, exclude the public because we're now going into confidential. But thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope to see you, or as many of you, at the next meeting if possible. Yes, Zoe?
I just wanted to say the same. Thank you all for attending. I must admit, from my point of view, trying to control who's in the waiting room, chat coming up, I'm taking the minutes. It's been an experience, shall I say? But it's so nice to have so many people who seem to be just genuinely interested in what the council's about, how it's run. So it's really refreshing that people have come on to play a part in it and not just have a moan, which is fine. That's, we're there for that as well. But it has been nice that people have wanted to know how things work and what we're about. And as the chair, sorry, I'm not the chair, I'm promoting myself. As the clerk, I'd just like to say, if you've got any further questions, you're not sure how things work, or you want to know any more, please contact me. either it's through my email, my phone, or through the website. There's a contact us page and that comes through to me. So
Yeah.
thank you, everyone.
And I just hope that we've settled some anomalies that have been
And
bandied about.
think about joining as a councillor. Think about applying
Yes,
to
true.
become a councillor.
Because
Definitely.
there are vacancies, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have just a couple of minutes while people are.
Yes, yes.
Because I need to go to the loo chair.
Oh, all right then. Too much information.